Hey, Slay Nation, it's your host, Heather, back with another episode of the So She Slays podcast. Now, we are in the midst of transformation, y'all. It's a transformational season. We are ending a year, starting a new year, and I couldn't help but think like this is the best time to have this conversation. So if you are someone in a season where you're kind of feeling like you're up in the air, you don't really know what to do. You're like, maybe I'm stuck. I don't know if I'm happy. I don't know if I want this career. I don't know if this relationship's making me happy. I don't know who I am. I'm just trying to figure out life. Like all of the things. I feel like today's conversation is for you. In studio, we have Veronica Clark, a transformative facilitator, author, and intimacy coach. She works on helping people to reconnect with themselves, navigate emotional waves, and build lives that feel aligned, not just successful. Now, I know alignment is a buzzword. We're going to get into it, so just hold your horses, okay? Veronica, thanks so much for joining us. Give us a little spiel about what you're up to before we dive into this conversation.
I love it. Love it. Oh my gosh, I'm up to so many amazing things. I've actually taken a break this December from traveling. I'm usually traveling abroad and throughout the U.S. facilitating and just doing a lot of incredible work. And so it's really been nice to be home. I'm in Scottsdale. That's where I domicile, and it's just been chill. So like sliding into one version of the new year, a lot more like, okay, on the home front with the fam bam, and it's just been amazing. Yeah, I get to spend so much of my time, traveling and meeting a lot of really interesting people, doing a lot of really cool things, and it's been nourishing to just be home. Yeah,
girl, I'm a little jealous. I've been doing all the things. December has not been restful. It has been the opposite, in all the best ways possible, and I'm not complaining at all. But I am living for, a few days during these holidays, like during the holiday season, right? Where I'm like, don't talk to me. I have disappeared off the face of the earth.
Yeah, I've had a couple of those days myself, and it feels good. It's necessary.
I'm longing. It's happening. I've scheduled it in, but we have a home stretch right now. So before, I get into my home stretch, I want to have this conversation with you because I feel like it's very much it's a hot topic right now. With any new year, I feel like transformation is a thing. Wow. So, I would love to be able to kind of talk about why there's like two aspects of this. Why transformation seems so hard. I have personally in the past few years gone through major life transformations and they were hard. Okay. Talk about kicking a girl when she's down. All right. And it was very emotionally overwhelming. It was overwhelming in general. My anxiety was gnarly. And I know that there's a lot of people who are in that same boat. And there's so much uncertainty that comes up with this as well. So it's like, what exactly about transformation makes people feel almost so scared and so stuck to move? Or life just takes the reins and you feel like you're being like pushed up against wave after wave after wave, and you're going to the right and the left and the front and the back. So it's like, it's chaos, like it's chaotic. So talk to me about this. Like, why does this actually feel so hard?
It feels so hard because people don't want to give up the parts of themselves that need to fall away. And the truth is that most of us already know that there's behaviors, habits, mindsets, ways of being that have been costing us way too much. They've been dragging us down, but they're also so comfortable and familiar. We're so used to that version of us. It's predictable, whether it is like we're addicted to the drama or to the chaos or to the always going. Like there's a part of us that likes that because otherwise we wouldn't have done it in the first place. And even if it came out of a survival, it's just really hard to let go of those parts of us that are familiar because they got us to where we are. And so when now we're being asked by life or this next level version of us to put that on the altar or to put it what feels like on the chopping block, it's like, fuck, I don't want to do that. Like, this is scary. How do I do that? Who am I if I am not this version of myself? And how do I live and walk and breathe in this new way? Like, we like being comfortable, even if that comfort creates a level of discomfort for us, and keeps us mediocre in a lot of ways.
So guilty. And here's the thing is, while you're in it, you don't realize it's happening. You don't realize that's what you're doing. It's in hindsight that you're like, well, damn. Because that is the thing, is like, you don't realize that you're holding on to what you know so hard that it's at your detriment. And that definitely happened to me 110%. And I swear holding on to it made it worse.
Yeah. Well, that's where the adage comes in. You can't see the forest for the trees, right? Because you're in it, and sometimes you just, like, we define ourselves oftentimes by the experiences that we've had or that we're going through. It's difficult for us initially to differentiate between, like, okay, who am I? Who's my highest authority, my inner self, my highest self? This is where we're talking about alignment. Who really is that? And how do I separate that part of me from my experiences, and even from the people that I know and the relationships that can be really amazing? How do I separate actually my inner self from that? It's difficult. So it's hard then for you, when you say, well, it's hard to know when you're in it. I would say a part of us, that may be true, but there's another part of us that's like, I want to grow. Like, there has to be something different, because if that wasn't there, that catalyst for change wouldn't occur. Right. And we are, as beings, we are designed to evolve. And the parts of us that resist that evolution are the parts of us that cling and that are like, no, I'd rather, I want to pretend that I don't know. So we have to ask ourselves, what am I pretending not to know? What am I ignoring? And yeah, so you can see from your expression, it's like, what am I pretending not to know? Because the truth is that on the deep inside, we do know. It's like, this relationship isn't that great. I'm settling for this relationship, or I'm settling at this job because I'm actually afraid to take the leap, because I'm afraid to fail if I really go out and pursue my dreams, my goals, what I really, really want. And so what I'm pretending not to know is that actually I'm really, really fucking uncomfortable.
Yeah. Like, this isn't it.
Right.
This isn't it. And I feel like, okay, so, and that kind of brings up my next couple of questions, because I think a lot of times there's some of us that are self-aware enough to know something doesn't feel right, or I know I want something else. Like, I know I want it. I just don't know how to get there. I don't know the steps to get there. And then you're in this middle, messy limbo, trying to figure it out type of situation, right? And when transformation and growth seems to take place, it's not instantaneous. Lord knows I wish that was instantaneous and get it over with. But it's not that way. And it seems to drag out and last and all this kind of stuff, even if you do surrender. I think for me, my questions are to the people who don't necessarily have that inner voice enough to be like, something's off, or I want something more, or anything like that. Because I think a lot of times people second guess themselves, right? They're like, is that it? Or am I just like making a big deal out of nothing? Right? It's like you second guess yourself. So let's answer that question first before I ask the other one.
Yeah. Okay. So what I hear you asking is, like, how does somebody, if they don't have the awareness, like, how do they know? How do they start to gain that awareness? And so here's the thing. For people who are like, I'm not sure if I'm in transformation. I'm not sure if this is right or not. Like, this is just what I'm used to. This is what I know. I don't know anything different. start paying attention to how you feel.
Mm.
Really start there. You have to pay attention to how you feel and not run away from how you feel if you feel uncomfortable, or if something that you think about, or you start to turn inwards and you're like, oh, I don't like that feeling. Oh, I don't want to look there. Look there and stay with yourself long enough so that you can just feel. Like, I like to think of it like looking in the closet. Like, so open the door to the closet and just start to look and be curious about, okay, how do I really feel right now? What's really going on? So that would be the first.
Mm-hmm.
That would be the first starting point.
Yeah, I feel like that's a huge one, because I think a lot of times, one, people are scared to ask themselves how they actually feel, because then they're like, great, now what? Like, what does that mean? But I also think too, like with emotional like changes and waves that like come with big transitions, when you're navigating the uncertainty and you're not sure how long this shit's gonna last, but you know you don't like it, but you're trying to figure it out and put one foot in front of the other in like a Jesus take the wheel type of a moment. What do you do in that? Like, because that's not easy. I remember that was the hardest part when I was in the middle of a big transition.
Mm-hmm.
That was rough. That was rough.
Yeah. But I'd be willing to bet that when you were in the midst of that big transition, like that wasn't the first transition that you'd ever gone through.
No,
right?
I will say it's one of the biggest transitions I've gone through.
I believe.
Yeah. It was a large one.
Okay. So if like what we're doing right now is leaving breadcrumbs for people, and when initially this doesn't, like knowing how to navigate the uncertainty, knowing how to navigate the discomfort, like that, sometimes we don't actually know that we know, right? So if you and I are leaving breadcrumbs for people who are listening and they're like, oh, where am I? This is what's important to remember, is when you are going through something that's big, like these big major crises, right? Or big major transitions, like whatever, a breakup, a job, whatever the thing is, it's huge. You've never gone through this particular thing before. What you have to remember is that you have gone through things leading up to that point. And if you look back in some way, those other things may have somehow a little bit prepared you for whatever it is that you are encountering now. And so that might be a big bite to try and swallow right now. But so in the moment, it's like you find yourself, you're like, oh my God, I feel super overwhelmed. This feels so big. How am I ever going to get through this? I feel like I'm losing myself. I don't even know if I'm going to make it through this. Like, I've been there before, right? I don't know how I'm going to make it through this. That is the moment to just pause and just say, okay, hold on. Okay. Where's the ground beneath me? Am I like, okay, right? Am I even like physically okay? Right? Am I okay? Okay. What do I need, like, to be able to move through this? What do I need right now? Even just to get to the next day, even to get to the next moment, what do I need right now? And just be with that thing that's going to help you to get to, just trying to identify it, just to name it. The key is to slow down, not get caught up in that whirlwind of stuff that starts to pull us into more anxiety or into fear or into making rash decisions, that can significantly alter our lives in some way.
Yeah.
So just pausing in that moment. And I really believe, like, we didn't come this far to get this, to just come this far.
Yeah.
You didn't go through everything that you went through in your life to just get to that point of major transition, and then you're just dropped off.
Yeah.
The universe is like, no, we brought you as far as you could go. We're done now. Figure it out. Like, that's not true. And if you really believe, like, no, there's more. I don't necessarily know how I'm going to get through this right now, but I'm going to pause. I'm going to breathe. I'm going to check in. What next? and start to ask for that inner
Mm-hmm.
guidance.
Mm-hmm.
Start to ask for it. Like, I need your help, universe. Like, make it clear. Like, speak to me now. Like, I need your guidance now.
I think okay, so speaking upon personal experience, I think that's kind of how I ended up having to really navigate these major changes in my life. Because I think for me, and I know a lot of other people, I mean, uncertainty is part of life. Guarantees, that's just a fallacy. It's a fallacy we use to comfort ourselves.
Yep.
Because you can wake up tomorrow and be laid off. You can wake up tomorrow and your whole life has changed. It can happen an hour from now. You have no idea, right? And I think when you look big picture it like that, that in some people scares shit out of like a lot of us with anxiety and what do I do and this, that, and the other can happen, especially if you're so used to controlling all the outcomes of things. My mother used to tell me all the time, Heather, control is a fallacy. You have control over nothing. And I was like, it's true. The older I get, the smarter she becomes, let me tell you. But I think for me, it's what really, I think resonated was doing what you just said, as far as stopping and slowing down. Cause I'm a go person. I'm a doer. I'm action oriented, but I feel like that is to my detriment in these types of situations. So again, being self-aware enough to slow the hell down, and just really ground yourself. Like, what is happening? What do I need? How do I feel? Right. And then I think for me, because I tend to be a big picture individual, is really just knowing what the step in front of me is. What is that step? And just focusing on that. Leave everything else to the universe, and how that's going to, work out is how that's going to work out. But just knowing what the next step is, and then continuing that until you find yourself on steadier ground where you can gain the momentum and feel safe enough to see that bigger picture.
That's right. And here's the thing, I'm willing to bet. I mean, you probably, reached out for some level of support, but that came through your inner knowing. You being able to connect inwards, you being in the gunk of it, like being in it. And then like, okay, how do I birth myself through this process? How do I midwife myself through this? Right. And here's the thing. This is how diamonds are created, right? You go through this pressure, and there's wisdom that's gained through this journey. It is not comfortable. And this is also why we can't rush the process. You can't rush it. Like, even if we're like, oh God, I wish I could just already get there. Okay. But you know what? Part of the becoming is this part, this uncomfortable part, this part that I wish was over or didn't want. No, it's like, I've given birth 5 times.
Wow.
And it is, and it is no joke. It is. And like, it's laborious. It's uncomfortable. I did not have any medication, not everybody goes through it that way, but you know what? It is like the hardest part is the labor part, right? And that on the other side of it is the gift of something beautiful, this beautiful life. And it's the same thing. Like, I feel like we're taught that even whether you've given birth or not, we are all initiated into a life, death, and rebirth process. And it is innate and intuitive to all of us. And when you look in nature, you see that. You see that in the caterpillar going into the cocoon to dissolve, to absolutely dissolve, to become nothing. That is a laborious process. And if the caterpillar had logic, it would not, like us, like we do, it wouldn't go through that process likely, right? But we know what comes out on the other side. So the wisdom in this is go through the darkness, the challenge with the faith that something beautiful is going to come out of this, even if you don't know quite what that's going to look like yet. And this is when you start to upgrade yourself, when you start to learn how to trust life more, because that is what That is what dancing in the uncertainty is. Like, I mean, I trip out when I'm like, this universe had dinosaurs in it. Like the universe, like we had dinosaurs here. Like who would have imagined to have like these flying creatures and all this stuff like that? Like I probably wouldn't have imagined that, right? But the universe is like, I'm infinite, dude. Like I have like the little things that you can imagine and think of, like the little control that you want, like I've got. So we're so used to relying on this little bit of like intelligence that we have as compared to this vast intelligence of the universe. And so the more that we can start to lean in and learn how to trust and say, okay, I am expanding my bandwidth and my capacity to be with the unknown and trust that I'm going to make it through this. I'm not exactly sure how. Guide me just step by step, baby step it, totally cool, baby step it. And you start to build your capacity, you start to build trust and faith, and you know that you're never going to be left behind, no matter what, no matter how scary it looks. You know it. You're just getting ready for a bigger, more incredible upgrade.
That is so true. And I will say, like, I I have like trusting that universe and trusting that things are going to work out and all this kind of stuff has always been something that's not been the easiest for me. But I think that's a lot of people.
Yeah, me too.
You know, and I think that is an active choice to trust and to remind yourself to trust. Because in some ways it can feel free-fally. Like it feels like you're just falling and you're like, I hope something works out. But I think it is trusting. And what I will say is, as I've practiced making that conscious decision in myself and within my own journey, things have just seemed to fall into place a lot freaking easier. Like,
but isn't it more fun? Like, isn't it like more interesting?
Fun when
you're like, oh my God.
It's like when you take that negativity, that freak out, that spiral of anxiety out of it, and you're able just to like stand there on your own, it naturally will change your perspective.
Yeah. Yes, it does. And how else are you going to learn those lessons? Like, you're not going to read it in a book. There may be something that you read or something you might scroll on Instagram. You might see something that like lands or resonates, but it's really it's going to resonate when you have like those codes in you already, but you have a deeper understanding of it once you experience it. And then that's when you become the medicine, right? And that's when you can continue to help lead other people. Like you can have this podcast, you can do the coaching and the work that you do because you've gone through certain things. You have been initiated through your experiences and have had to cross through and pass through certain stages. And so now you got the wisdom. But it's so different. Like you can feel it when somebody just reads something out of a book, or maybe they take a course, and there's nothing wrong with that. But the depth really comes from actually being able to go through something and shape shift it and are like, ooh, I got out of the victim story and oh my God, I actually see the gift in this really hard thing. Like, wow. And as a matter of fact, I wouldn't change that hard thing because I came out of it who I am.
I've gained so much from it. It's honestly, I know for the people going through it right now, you're thinking, what the fuck? Because I'm going to tell you, it's like your superpower. You're going through it and it doesn't feel like a superpower. It feels like all the superpowers are being stripped away from you. But you will come out of it as long as you start putting one foot in front of the other and kind of doing the things that we've talked about. And you will have this moment of like, well, shit. It's right. It's just like that, knowing that you have gone through hard shit and you've done hard things. It does something to you where it makes your confidence that much more. Like it really does. I wish, you can't gain that type of self-confidence and life confidence without going through something like that.
Right. Exactly. And that's what I hope that more people can hear. Like I want to say this too though. I have like I'm making agreements with the universe and I'm like I'm done learning through pain,
Mhm.
like I'm learning through joy and through beauty and so, thankfully in this stage of my life, there's always going to be probably some discomfort for a while. But it's like it doesn't have to be the same way that it was in the
Yeah.
past, right? Like it gets to be different. And the more um that we change and shape our perspective, the way that we see ourselves, our inner world, and to the way that we look at the experiences that we've been through, if we can see the experiences as, wow, that was really challenging, but also look at all this beauty, and you can start to say, what, the universe is really on my side and life is really on my side and I am really set up to win
Yeah.
and I can make it through anything. And I'm hardwired for hope and I'm hardwired for joy and for beauty and for believing things that will always work out for me, even when I don't know how. It just changes the way that you face any kind of storm that comes your way.
Mhm.
You're like, oh, okay, good, great, got it. I'm going to buckle down. I'm going to have my practices. I'm going to remember certain things. I know I'm going to get through this. And
Yeah, you just take it on head on. And it's not, I mean, I'm not going to sit here and say it's not scary, it's not stressful, it's not anxiety inducing and anything like that. Because obviously, depending on what you're going through and how you handle things, all of the above can happen. But
for
I
sure,
think that's also life. Welcome to it.
it
We
is.
don't get to, I wish I could just strip it of that and then not have to deal with it.
Yeah.
But again, it's through those struggles and trials and tribulations that you are who you are as a person and you know how to
Yes.
deal with things. So I would love to
Yeah.
sit here and talk a little bit more about, because we're heading in this direction anyways, about alignment. And
Yeah.
I know alignment is a buzzword, and everybody's like, I don't really know what the hell that means. So before we dive into it further, let's talk about what exactly alignment means when it comes to like living in alignment, and
Yeah.
also like what's that look like?
Yeah. So when I think of alignment, think of think of a wheel
Mm,
alignment. And when your tires are
yeah.
aligned, you get to drive
Yes. Forward.
straight.
Straight.
Right? You get to drive. And when you're out of alignment, right, then it like moves over to the side and it pulls you. You get pulled in these different
Mm-hmm.
directions. And so when we're talking about having alignment within ourselves, it's like being connected to your inner compass. It's being connected to to the universe, to God, to your higher self. And that connection comes from your center or from your heart, from your like these chakras,
Mm-hmm.
your solar plexus, your sacral center, like really being inwardly connected. How do you access that part? Is by slowing down and by recognizing your feelings, but also not getting lost in your feelings and believing your feelings as the absolute truth. They are there to guide you, like to give you signals
Mm-hmm.
and clues, but they are not the absolute truth. And that's the biggest mistake that a lot of people make. They think this is a feeling, and so it must be the truth. And so now I'm either scared or I'm hopeful or I'm whatever. When what we do need to do is just look at it and have some discernment to say, okay, what is this feeling trying to tell me? What is this feeling trying to tell me? And then just come back into our center. There's so just pause
Mm-hmm.
there.
Mm-hmm.
And
that
yeah, what
that
comes up for
kind of
you?
so that brings up the question, because I know like it popped up in my mind, so I know there's going to be a lot of people who are like, but how do I tell the difference? Because here's the thing is, like, you can be presented with an opportunity, right? And
Yeah.
you may feel some type of way about it, whether it's good, bad, whatever it is, nervous. And yes, feelings aren't necessarily 100% truth, just like your thoughts are not 100% truth. I think where the gray area is and where things get lost is like, well, how do I know how much to take of each in order to see how I actually feel about this? Because I know for myself, I can be presented with an opportunity. I'm like, oh my God, that's exciting. But then I might not be able to do this, and this.
Mm-hmm.
So, what, you know what I mean? And it's like, then you start going through all the things and you're like, I don't know how to feel about this. What I always end up
Yeah.
doing is just being like, all right, universe, if it's meant to be, you will figure it out. Like, but I know that there's a lot of people who have that same train of thought.
Yeah. Yeah. It's a nuanced question, but I think what's coming up right now is what makes you feel most alive? Does this feeling make you feel alive? Does does the feeling make you feel like some spaciousness or some kind of expansion inside of your spirit, even if it feels scary, like, oh my God, like, I don't know if I can actually do that thing. I just got, asked to do this, but I don't have any experience. Like, am I good enough? Imposter syndrome could come
Mm-hmm.
up. But the key is that, did it make you feel alive? And when you have certain feelings that make you feel alive, those are more connected to your heart. Those are more connected to like your inner truth and to your desire, right? And so it's like, does this make me feel alive, or does this make me feel like shame and afraid and so forth? And so what happens is, a lot of times people confuse, like, is this my gut instinct? Is this my
Yeah.
intuition? Or is this actually my fight or flight? Trauma responses, because a lot of times those are so hardwired in at
Mm-hmm.
such an early age, they are difficult to distinguish between intuition. So your trauma and your intuition can look very similar.
Yes.
And so when we're looking at alignment and you're like, am I aligned with this? Am I aligned with this? It's going to be up to the individual to really start slowing down and asking themselves those questions. What am I pretending not to know? What am I pretending not to know about myself? What am I pretending not to know about other people, other situation? And in order for anybody to actually get aligned, you have to ask that question. Because if you do not ask that question, then what are you trying to align to? You're aligning to something that is a fallacy. You're aligning to something that you're like, I hope this is the thing, but you don't, but you might be too afraid to actually know, because it means, if I know something, that means I might have to give something up that I really like or that I really want. And we talked about that
Yeah.
earlier in the conversation.
Yeah.
So it's not like, so it's not so easy, but it boils down to a few simple things. And that's slowing down, feeling, and then asking yourself, okay, where is this? Where is this? Where's this feeling coming from? Is this really coming from my truth? Is this coming from, authenticity? Is this coming from my need to be accepted, to please other people? Is it coming from, because like I need to be, I don't know, loved, admired, adored,
Mm-hmm.
whatever? There's nothing wrong with any of those things, but you have to start asking yourself, like, is that really how I want to show up? And I just want to be aware of that, like what I'm talking about right now. I mean, I have years and years and years of life experience,
Mm-hmm.
right? Lots of ups and downs and everything,
Mm-hmm.
bankruptcies and children. I have a whole life experience. So what I'm talking about might sound like complex, but for anybody, no matter what stage of life you're in, start to get really real with yourself. Let go of the things that are not serving you, and you know it, because to get aligned means to get so dialed in and to get really clear. And every evolution that you have, you're going to have to realign. So it's not like you align one time and then you're set for life.
Wish.
It doesn't work.
But it's the truth.
But yeah, and you get better and better and better, and you align faster and faster and
Mm-hmm.
faster. And start to know, you're like, oh, shoot, I'm out of alignment. Like, oh, my tire's out of I'm getting pulled this way. I'm getting pulled into a habit, belief, a thought that isn't good. It's not helping me. It doesn't make me feel more alive. Great. I need to knock that out so I can come back into alignment.
Mm-hmm. It's so interesting that you kind of say that, because I had a conversation with one of my friends, and they were kind of, I have so many opportunities, this, that, and the other, right? Or which one do I do type of a situation. And I said something that I didn't realize would stick with not only them, but with me, is, are you making decisions that get you closer to your goal? Yeah. And in a way, that's exactly what we're talking about with being in alignment, right? It's, are we making decisions that get us closer to our goal? And I know some people are going to take it to the extreme, and I don't necessarily mean that like we make decisions that are bad for us because it gets us closer to our goal. That is not what I mean. You have to actually like feel good about it and have excitement about it. And that's definitely one of the ways that I see things. Like, it's either a hell yes or a hell no for me. Yeah. And anything in between means I don't have enough information to make that decision. And for me, it's one of those situations where if I'm excited about it and I want to learn more and I'm intrigued, we're headed in the right direction.
Yeah. Exactly. Yeah. See, that's a great that's that feeling of aliveness, right? That's that feeling of like momentum, like there's possibility. That is an important distinction. How does this feel? Does it feel like this, or does it feel kind of like or meh?
Yeah. Yeah.
That's important.
That is so important. And so for all y'all listening, I know that it can sound complex, but it really, if you want to sit here and get in the weeds with it, yeah, sure. It can be super complex. And I am so down to talk about that too. But if you are just like, you know what, give it to me quick and dirty, that's literally how that goes. That's literally how that goes. We are making decisions that get us closer to our goal. If you're presented with an opportunity, it's either a hell yes or a hell no. If you are meh, that means you don't have enough information to decide which way it should go, and you need to get more. And that's as simple as I feel like I could make it. And that's like what made sense to me. Is there anyone that, like, Veronica, what about you? Like, did you have a quick and dirty version?
A quick and dirty version. Really, I think it just comes to like what makes me feel alive. What makes me feel alive in a healthy way. And so that's, again, might take a little bit more time to feel into, because sometimes we're attracted to things that don't always, that are not in our highest good. Here's the thing. When we talk about the goal or we talk about alignment, I think everybody individually needs to define like what do they want to align to. So what are you aligning with? What does that, you need to start with that first. So if it's a goal that you are like, okay, what's my goal? But it could be, I don't know, I want to start a business. I want to start my business. And so everything that you do, you want it to align to that particular goal, and, make the choices according to that. So what are you aligning to? If you feel like, well, you know what, I really want to align to my higher purpose, what does that mean for you?
Yeah.
So everybody's definition or goal, let's say, whatever it is that they want to align to, they need to decide that.
Yeah.
And let's say that people, like right now, mental health and anxiety, like that's so important. Our mental well-being, our state of mind is so important. So I want to, my goal or my intention is to have the optimal well-being, and to have, peace is like my goal, right? Peace is your goal. Then that means you want to align to that. You want to align. So you want to make all the decisions that are going to help you to be a more peaceful being. But then that comes back to that same question that I asked. Okay, so then what's getting in the way of getting what you want?
Yeah.
What are you pretending not to know?
Yeah.
You're going to have to move that out so that you can get into alignment.
I I feel like we just dumped so much information on you, Slay Nation. Sorry. Sorry, not sorry. You knew what you were getting into. I forewarned you. Okay, to wrap up this this conversation, I have some rapid fire questions for you. So, what's something you had to unlearn in order to become the version of yourself you are now?
That I am beautiful and kind and amazing and deserving of all good things in my life.
Yes, you are. Yes, you are. And let me tell you, that is something that it sounds cheesy, but look, if you've gone through some shit, you understand where that's coming from.
Yeah. Well, yeah. So, and I think I might have answered in the inverse. So so the other side of it was like, I had to unlearn that I wasn't those things so that I could, right. Because there's, in all of the ages and all the stages, like comparison, not feeling good enough, like that's all of that always comes up, right? And for everybody, that's an initiation all of us have to go through. And so I really had to say, no, like, I'm amazing, just like this, just like I am. And so I hope that everybody gets to, like come out on that other side and feel that for themselves.
Oh, agreed. When you feel emotionally overwhelmed, what's the very first thing you do to come back to yourself?
I meditate. I just slow down. The first thing I do is I slow down. I stop everything. I just get quiet and I go in and I breathe. And that's my form of meditation when I'm feeling overwhelmed.
It always makes me because like I say meditate too. But it always, for some reason, there's always this image of a busy mom that pops into my head every time we kind of be like, oh, meditate. And they're like, I don't even have time to pee by myself. How am I going to freaking meditate? What I always tell people.
It's true. You're right. Like little fingers coming under the door
and mommy. Like it's just like, I have that image in my head. And so I always want to speak to those who are in that type of a situation. And I always say 2 minutes before you pick up the car, before you pick up the kids during carpool, 2 minutes in the shower, 2 minutes if you're the first one up, 2 minutes.
That's it. Everybody has 2 minutes.
3 deep breaths. Ask yourself how you're feeling. Literally.
Out and sit down, like really genuinely. It doesn't take that long. And I'm oftentimes, like I said, I'm traveling, I'm facilitating, I work with really large groups. So oftentimes I'm like in between, and I always like to reset and regulate myself. And so truly it could literally just be, 2 minutes, 3 minutes, and stopping, feeling the ground beneath my feet, taking some deep breaths, genuinely in that moment, like just choosing to slow down. Like I've got this minute, I've got 2 minutes. Let me just feel this moment, not being anywhere else, but right there. And that is a practice. And anybody can do that. You just have to choose and say, you know what, I get to have this 1 minute to absolutely reset and recenter for me so that I can show up and be the best that I can be. And you can do that several times throughout the day.
Yep.
It doesn't take that long. Nobody needs to know even what you're doing. I mean, I can do this. I can be sitting in a meeting. I could be somewhere, wherever. I can just pause for a second. Even when I'm facilitating a class, I may just have everybody, let's just pause for a second. Let's just sit and be quiet for a moment. And I may be doing that just for myself, but they get to have the benefit of that. But I will do it right then, in the class. So even busy moms, they can sit for a moment. They can sit with all the chaos that's going around. They can sit right there because that's actually like what meditation is about. Like, can you be in the stillness in the eye, you're the eye of the storm. Like you're in that, all the stuff is going on. So
agreed.
Deep breaths. Let that breath move through your body, circulate that through your bloodstream, feel the good oxygen, feel all of it. Open your eyes up and say, all right, let's go.
Yep. Oh, okay. Last question. Finish this sentence. If you're in a season of transformation, remember that
you can have fun and look good doing it.
Yes, absolutely. Oh my gosh. Veronica, thank you so much for joining us. Where can people find you and follow you?
You can follow me on Instagram, Veronica L. Clark. And then my website is veronicalynnclark.com.
Amazing. Thank you so much for joining us, Slay Nation. I'm hoping you got some nuggets, okay? I'm hoping you got some nuggets to your transformational journey. Lord knows we got more coming, okay? Thank you, as always, for listening. Follow us on all the socials at So She Slays. You can get more at SoSheSlays.com. And until next time, we'll catch you later.